Hello Copic craft friends. We are back in Copic in the craft room. I received another request, this time to look at those warm grays and doing an image just in warm grays. If you have an opportunity, the vintage and vintage values and monotones workshop that we teach through Imagination International, that's all we talk about. That we talk about the earth tones and the gray families. And so if you ever get an opportunity, I would highly recommend that class. The reviews we've gotten back have said that that's probably one of the most valuable classes they've taken from Copic. So I would encourage you to look into that. But today we are going to tackle this little gal. I also had a request to kind of revisit the afro or real tight curly hairstyle. So I felt like this would be a good one to do that. I do have another video that looks at 3 different ways to color that type of hair. So make sure you kind of scroll back through the archives and it's not that far back, but a few months back. And there's some different looks at that tight, kinky, curly hair. But I'm going to do this image. This is one by Jade Dragon, and I'll put her information on the link. But I'm only going to use warm grays, and so I am using, starting with a W0, and then I go W1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. That's the group I have, so those are the only colors I'm going to use on this image. So I'm going to start with her skin, and I am using a W1, so a warm gray, kind of in one of the lighter colors for a base color. And I am filling in her entire face and then her shoulders and chest area. It's not super big, so I can do that. And then now I'm going to map out where I want that shading to happen. And I'm doing this with my W3. This oftentimes is, for me, the hardest step because I'm mapping out where I want that shading to happen. So I'm looking at the contours of her face. I'm having the light come in from that right-hand side, working down a lot of the left side of her body, around both eyes, because your eyes fall back, but reinforcing that a little bit. And then W5 is next, and I'm going in and adding that in smaller amounts. Again, notice around both eyes, kind of falling back by the ears, right on the inside corner of that nose, under the chin, on the neck, and kind of armpit areas. Then I actually go back with W1 next because I want to smooth out that bottom layer and do some smoothing of the kind of blending in. When you're working with a single color like this, and the grays in particular, they blend super easy, and so I can go jump that middle step. But now I'm going to go back to my W3 and reinforce some of those areas so I don't lose the shadows. I felt like I lost like that cheek or kind of laugh line on the right hand side. So I'm reinforcing that, getting that nose really well defined over on the left. And then going back one more time with W1 to smooth those areas out real quickly. Next, I am going to tackle her hair with starting with W5, and I am going to add her lips and brows really fast to start. But then I'm going to swap to my chisel nib because she's got a lot of hair, and I am basing that entire head of hair with that W5. I am going in with small circles, and you're going to notice right away that I'm not putting an even coat of ink down. I'm letting that kind of circly scribble show a little bit. I actually would want that because I want this hair to appear textured, and so I'm leaving it kind of that loose squiggly look even from the get-go, even with my base layer. W7 is next, and now I'm going to get my pen nice and vertical to the page, and I'm using my brush nib, just the tip, and doing scribbles, kind of a back and forth scribbly stroke, and I'm going to fill in basically the entire hair again, but this time just with those scribbles. And so I'm not super focused on where the highlight is, but I am going a little bit denser in the bottom edge, the edges around her face, and definitely down by her neck, keeping those areas darker than the rest, but I am filling in the entire hair area with that W7 with those scribbles. But you can see I'm hitting a couple areas multiple times to get them a little thicker. W9 is the last color. I'm keeping this really simple today. But again, this time now I'm focusing in on those darker areas. I add small amounts kind of all over the hair, but I'm focusing in on those darkest areas. The underside, the areas right around her face, and to really frame it and to show where that the light is coming in from above. And so you have those few randoms here and there, but mostly right tucked in around her face, nice and tight. Just some small things to finish. W0 on those eyes, and a little bit of W1 and then W3, just for a little bit of shading on those eyes. I do go back with W7 and hit the brows again. I just felt like they were too light. W0 is going to color in that top. W1 for a little bit of detail on shading those wrinkles and folds that you see across the top, and then W3 to darken those up just a little bit. Again, these blend so easily together that for the most part I don't need
So pretty
blending.
simple, straightforward. I kept the hair pretty loose. I just did the squiggles, and it's a layer of 3 colors. But these are your warm grays. They're very subtle and very beautiful, very soft, and they make great practice for shading and value studies. So if you're really trying to hone in on your skills there, working in a monochromatic way using one color family, it doesn't have to be the grays, but the grays are very effective for that, is an awesome learning tool and skill builder. So hope you got something out of that today. I hope you have a happy, colorful week. Thanks for joining me.